Hi, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Prior to Fritz's presentation, I thought my task here would be very easy because through our innovative president, Dr. Adams, we think that we have the solutions to most of the problems. But if I were to approach, prior to now, Dr. Adams about a bachelor's or master's in chief listening, I would have been terminated. But now I do realize that we have a lot more to do. I'm here representing, of course, the University College of the Caribbean, but of course we're also a proud member of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce and a member of the Jamaica Logistics Task Force Subcommittee on Education and Training. When we were invited to that, of course, we jumped at the opportunity because we realized that it must be an integrative approach that we take to the issue of learning if we are going to successfully address the requirements for the new paradigm. The duty, as we see it, is the recognition that this reengineering must succeed. We have an opportunity once again. There is the ability, the duty to recognize that as private sector players, we must play our part, and of course, the challenge is now. The mission here today is to share, to have discussions, our thoughts on the UCC's perspective on the private sector's response. What is required? Where are we now? And what can we do? To share some thoughts. In this regard, I'm sure we will get the requisite feedback. It will shape our programs, even as we think that we are far away along the trajectory in addressing some of the new programs that we are required for a new paradigm. A lot has been said, of course, about the logistics sector. It is a link between goods and services, and the service part of this component we must highlight. Jamaica has a natural advantage because of the geospatial location. We're aware of that. The pirates of old took advantage of that. The most notable is Henry Morgan. He sat at the end of Port Royal and took advantage of this geospatial relations of Jamaica. No, I'm not suggesting that we should take what is ours, but it is about time we take what is ours. And that is what we're suggesting. The hub does not only facilitate the movement of goods and services, but it must do so efficiently. That is the key component of that. There are direct costs attendant to this. Our location gives us an advantage with respect to transportation, but we must be mindful of the other indirect costs, whether this be the cost for security, utilities, inefficiencies. These other indirect costs can, of course, remove our cost advantage with respect to space. The most important factor for hubs across the world, of course, is not only the availability of labor, and we are not short of the availability of labor, but more importantly, manpower capability. And that is what I think Fritz spent a lot of time speaking of. The relevance of the training. We make no bones about it. This discussion of the logistics hub really is about the quality of life of our people. When we speak about the hub is what we must do and how we're going to do it, we're speaking of improving the quality of life. If we are not speaking that to our people, of course, we will lose our audience. Economic development and growth, employment generation, investment opportunities, and business development, because that is important, not just employment, but the opportunity to create businesses and get the value added attendant to this new structure. And of course, of import is security, however you define that, whether that be physical security or social security. Given our note that we find people to be at the center of this discussion, we're using two countries, the numbers, the financial numbers from two countries to highlight what the potential of the hub to us and of course the impact on labor. We'll use an example of the hub in Singapore, and of course Hong Kong is projecting a strong hub in that area. The GDP of Jamaica, let's look at the comparison. The GDP of Jamaica is $14.8 billion, and we compare that GDP to Singapore of 274 billion. That's about 19 times that. The GDP per capita for Jamaica, 5,400. GDP for Singapore, 51,000. Important also, we look at the population size, so we can start to think of the scale. The population of Singapore is 5.3, Jamaica 2.7, approximately half of the population of Singapore. Unemployment in Jamaica, 15.3%, Singapore 2.6. The unemployment rate in Jamaica generates available labor, or unemployed labor, depends on how you look at it, at 201,000 persons. I do believe that this slide gives an interesting perspective of the potential impact for success of the development of a hub. In Singapore, 9% of the population, working population is employed in the sector, generating labor of 306,000. And in Hong Kong, 24% of the population working population is recorded to be in this sector with 840,000. Even if you were to adjust for scale, twice the size of the Jamaican economy, whether it be the population size or the working population, you realize that looking at the number of 306 in Singapore, for example, those numbers could go a far way to addressing the issues of unemployment. Surely there's not a switch that you switch and after a start date, you get those jobs. This is to demonstrate the potential for not only employment, but growth over time, of a focus on the sector if we are able to take advantage. Education and the correct training is to the facilitation as logistics is to the movements of goods and services. The case of manpower planning. The Honorable Minister was reported I think last year, saying, using an example of Dubai, that 60%, 70% of persons employed in the logistics sector were foreigners. Surely this is not a target that we wish to go to, but this may be a target that we exceed if we are not prepared for it. It is recognized that the sector will require skilled labor. It's a requirement. And the sector will get the skilled labor wherever. It's either you have the labor to support it, or you import the labor, or the kind of facilitation that we want will not happen. I do believe that we'd rather have it and have the skill sets developed over time. Employment will be generated through the physical infrastructure, the development in the short period, business operations, that's ongoing operations. We heard several possibilities and permutations there. Knowledge and service exports is critical to support the hub, but also as a spin-off from that, you can also trade knowledge services and other services internationally. And of course, I will always come back to entrepreneurship and enterprise. It's key to that. What are the requirements? To begin with, you need the national recognition, and you need a response and a coordination. Obviously, we have the recognition, and from what we are seeing here over the last 2 days, we have the response and recognition and the coordination with the structure that we have in place. Research and investment is critical. Forward planning, private and the private-public partnerships are a must if we are going to move forward. We must utilize our individual resources and resources across the public sector and the private sector, and that's why we're at the table with a lot of our public sector partners and why we are pleased to be here. Design solutions. We must design solutions, but more importantly, we must be prepared to implement the solutions. Context for training. A critical pillar, as we mentioned, I won't see on this slide because we realize we mentioned the facilitation, and of course Fritz did a wonderful job of understanding how the effective or proper training will enable the connection between the people and jobs. There's mention of 10,000, I think that's the figure reported, of possible jobs to be created in the early period. From my calculations, that number can be significantly more if we are able to take advantage of the opportunities. We gave the examples from other countries. Again, we caution this does not happen overnight, but the number of 10,000 I hear bandied about to us at UCC appears to be low. 75% of current workforce will need significant retraining That, I think, complements what Fritz mentioned earlier. It is a requirement. Do we have the capacity to retrain? And do we have the ability to retrain based on our programs in the relevant program deliveries? This is a quote that was taken from the Outlook on Logistics Supply Chains Industry. It's a conference that was held in 2012. It says, and I think it also, I wasn't aware of the details of your presentation, but this quote we thought to be quite interesting. Logistics clusters offer a broad spectrum of employment opportunities for blue-collar, white-collar, and no-collar jobs. Moreover, these clusters provide social mobility because the logistics industry values solid operational experience on the floor, even among executives. This is what came from that conference on logistics and planning last year. Faced with the challenges, the UCC has, prior to now, looked on and saw the emerging opportunities, and of course, the requirement to not only develop its own business, but to facilitate the infrastructure development of the country in the services arena. For its part, the UCC has moved to leverage its structure. The UCC is very flexible, nimble. It's a private institution, and what we have done over the last several years is to work with partners. That is a critical part of our model. The pillars, the strategy going forward, and it will become more evident as I go forward, values participation, research, partnership, and investments. You must invest. We'll speak to new investments planned for the next few months. New delivery channels and new delivery methods. Increased flexibility. And again, new programs and a new approach to the development of new programs is what's required. Current offerings, the UCC, as we see that these opportunities to support the logistics sector, this is what we currently have. By far not sufficient, but we will show you where we are going in the short term within the next 3 months. We offer a bachelor's degree in advanced certificate logistics that's developed by UCC, a BSc in business administration logistics concentration. Importantly, with a partnership recently signed late last year with the Caribbean Maritime Institute, we're offering their program, their diploma in international shipping and logistics, and an associate degree in industrial systems and operations management. We also offer short courses in entrepreneurship. This is what we have. Important to note, however, that although we have 2 courses from CMI, our relationship with CMI has now opened us to a full suite of products. And what we intend to do is carry these products across Jamaica at our several campuses, and therefore telegraph CMI's reach across the island also, to bring the courses closer home to the population in need. This is a short list of initiatives and partnerships that we are particularly proud of and that will inform the new products that we intend to develop. The relationship with CMI has been discussed. Those courses are obvious and key courses for early delivery. As I mentioned, we'll be projecting the full suite across the island, and also we're developing new capacity. We are bringing 60,000 square feet of new space at the end of March in April, and through which we can also bring more of the CMI type training to our Worthington campus. Hard Trust NTA, we have been in discussions over the last few months because we recognize that TVET, the technical and vocational type trainings, as highlighted by Dr. Fritz Pinnock, is a must to incorporate, not just to offer necessarily on its own, as you must, but also to incorporate. The type of degrees we offer must change the nature of it and its application to be more relevant. Jamaica Employers Federation, we also recognize that if we are to hold true to what we mentioned of how we deliver programs, we must speak to the employers that we develop the relevant programs, even as we, through innovation and research, try to inform the new direction of programs. So that partnership with Jamaica Employers Federation, we are hoping to formalize that relationship in the near future, surely this side of the quarter. JAMPRO, also we have been not only in discussions with them, but we have been exchanging communication towards a formalization of a partnership with JAMPRO. Our formal response, which you will see at the end of this presentation, has significant implications for not only training in Jamaica, but also for educational export. And of course, JAMPRO in that regard is a key player to telegraph this new concept that I will highlight close to the end of the presentation. Secondary schools. We spent a lot of time last year going through to selected high schools across Jamaica, technical high schools also, and our discussions have been encouraging. It's through those discussions that we are designing unique programs of interest to not just the students, but to develop programs that will form a proper conduit or the next stage for students in areas that are relevant, mixed with the technical vocational type of programs that we will be informed through our relationship with the HeartTrust NTA. Joint venture arrangements, the new capacity that I alluded to that we are also looking to put on the ground in the Kingston metropolitan region will be enabled through a partnership which we are looking to go to contract within the next 2 or 3 weeks, which I am sure I can say is a major real estate mogul in Jamaica, where the plant will be set up and we will do the delivery. That kind of private partnership is the kind of partnership I think we need to go to if we're going to access funding and financing and create the ability to do this. Without that partnership, we'd not be able to bring the new programs to the table in a timely manner. The concept of the Caribbean Knowledge City is where we'd like to go. And I'll speak in the following slides about the Caribbean Knowledge City that brings all these relationships that we had mentioned under one umbrella. Capital markets, apart from partnerships, we recognize that the capital markets is a key player if we are going to fund developments. And we are pleased to know the vibrancy of the existing capital markets, and the Junior Stock Exchange also provides a good opportunity, and we are prepared to access the capital markets if and when required to meet the demands of the workforce training. International partnerships. UCC has, over the last 15 years, had valuable partnerships with the Florida International University. Through this university, we offer our Masters in Business Administration program. I benefited from that 13 years ago. And of course, our Masters in Engineering Management is also an important delivery. The Commonwealth of Learning and also University of London, they have been key universities that we have had in our portfolio where we can pull programs for to deliver to our populations. More recently, over the last 4 to 5 months, we have formed formal partnerships with Tiffin University, Monroe College, Southern New Hampshire University, and Western New England University, and the Kerr State Medical University. What the way forward, therefore, as we see it, is a composite of these partnerships, the structure that we have in place, to be in a position to pull the necessary curriculum without having to try to reinvent the wheel from these partner universities. We are in a proposition currently to respond to the requirements for the requisite programs that might become required. Working together with the local partnerships, with the international universities, the University of the Caribbean, University College of the Caribbean has the vision of creating what we see as the Caribbean Knowledge City, where we bring all elements of these programs under one structure. It is our intention to break ground, if we have the signing of contract within the next 3 months, to break ground for the development of this concept, where we'll bring the requisite training from the various international programs or local programs, and the programs to be delivered, informed by the relationship with HeartTrust NTA and a relationship with the Jamaica Employees Federation under the umbrella of one structure. It is noted that with the rise of the new knowledge society, knowledge cities have emerged as centers of creating that critical mass of educational services that will attract significant numbers of students and bridge the gap between industry and education. So the intent is to bridge that gap between the knowledge and, of course, bring value added to the employer. The UCC, Caribbean Knowledge City, aspires to be recognized as a source of well-trained persons for the crew and maritime sector, a stimulant for data mining, research, and the development of cutting-edge courses. UCC will seek to offer courses in logistics, courses to be offered in areas of transportation, inventory, warehousing, material handling, etc. The Caribbean Knowledge City, the umbrella that we will be putting the new programs under, is designed to promote Jamaica, Brand Jamaica, as a destination for high-quality education. It will promote and attract investments for education, applied research, innovation. The way forward, as we say, is the maintenance of the close collaboration with the Logistics Task Force, chaired by the subcommittee chaired by Fritz Spinner, to facilitate an appropriate and coordinated national response. We view the close collaboration and open communication with employers as being critical. Investment in the creation of the relevant and flexible programs and program delivery frameworks is also of critical import. We also support initiatives for internship opportunities that we see as an enabler for to complement instructional training. And of course, last but not least, we put to explore opportunities for tuition financing. We do recognize that the issue of tuition financing is one of the most critical roadblocks that we have today. A new approach, therefore, is required. Significant investment, we do believe, is needed to bring about the paradigm shift that is required in financing education and its availability to facilitate what we see as a game-changing opportunity. We have, over the years, lamented our missed opportunities. Those times are past. We are here now. Required, as we see it, is a conspiracy of like minds to ensure that we now actualize the potential that lies before us. Thank you.